Hey, what's up? Welcome in the new episode on this channel. And in this one, I would like to ask you one simple specific question. Are you going to buy a new camera? And maybe you would like to buy a new Fujifilm camera, but recently Fujifilm released two new models, and the one is announced to be released in November actually. So we just get the Fujifilm X-H2S and X-H2, and we are waiting for Fujifilm X-T3. And of course, if you are a professional and you need the latest and the greatest gear, you will probably choose one of those three models. But if you are just a beginner, or maybe you are on a budget, or maybe you are just starting with the photography or videography and you would like to not spend a full budget on the gear, you maybe would like to buy something cheaper and add to this a few lenses. So my suggestion for you is to consider Fujifilm X-T3, because I just purchased this model few weeks ago and it is just mind-blowing with the specs and especially with the price. But please wait on this one. I think that this was the great purchase for me as a beginner, as an amateur photographer and videographer, just to start working with the professional camera. Because please remember that X-T3 has been released at the end of 2018, so just 4 years ago it was a flagship for Fujifilm cameras. And I know 4 years for the electronical stuff, for the photography gear, is like 1 century, but 4 years ago it was the best Fujifilm camera. So 4 years later it is still a great camera, especially with the specs that I will try to list you, and the main advantages and the main disadvantages of this camera. So this is the body itself, and if you know Fujifilm and like the Fujifilm retro style with all the dials on the top, you will be just amazed with this camera. This is the second-hand version, but it looks perfect and working perfectly with no issues, no scratches on the body, so it's almost like new from the store. The main advantages which makes this camera so special and so good even in 2022: the 26 megapixel sensor with all the Fujifilm film simulations built in, 60 fps 4K, 120 fps in 1080p, weather sealed body. And this was one of the main reasons that I bought this camera, because my Fujifilm X-S10, which I'm using right now to film this video, has no weather sealed body. And because right now we are approaching autumn, so if I would like to go shooting outside in the rainy day, or even after a few months when the winter will come, when it will be snowing, I can easily use this body in the poor weather conditions, so no issues with the camera. And the second reason why I bought this camera is of course the price, because to be honest with you, I bought the body, the battery grip dedicated to this camera, and the 6 additional Fujifilm cameras, the original ones, in total for 8,500 USD. And take into consideration that right now in Poland we have a very high inflation and the Polish currency is quite weak against USD, so probably if you are considering buying second-hand Fujifilm X-T3 with all these accessories in North America or Canada, it will be even cheaper, around 700. So for this price you are getting weather sealed body with 4K 120 FPS in 1080p, battery grip with 2 additional batteries inside, and in my case additional 6 Fujifilm original batteries in around 7.500 USD. It's just mind-blowing to get such a good camera for that price. I just cannot believe it right now, even after those few weeks. So I have to also mention about some disadvantages of this camera, because it has some, and those may not be bothering you, but they may affect on the decision whether buy this camera or not. So the first one, and it may be the main one, is no IBIS built in, so no in-body image stabilization. But in my case, for example, I have the Fujifilm X-S10 with the in-body stabilization, with the same sensor, the same processor, so I can just use those two cameras together. I was also testing this body with my small gimbal, the Zhiyun Crane M2S, and it is working perfectly. The second disadvantage for this one, and this might be disadvantage for you or may not be, because it depends whether you are planning to record yourself or not, because this body has no fully articulating screen. You can tilt it on the side or tilt it up. So it depends on you whether you need the fully articulating screen, as for example my Fujifilm X-S10 has, or not. And the third disadvantage that I'm seeing right now is of course Fujifilm battery life, because it is quite poor. You can make like 300, maybe 3,500 pictures with the one battery, and of course if you are filming in 4K it is just eating battery as you know what. If you are planning to go shooting for a full day, you need at least 3 batteries with you. But in that case you can of course bring a battery grip with 2 additional batteries, so you have 1 in body and 2 outside in the body grip. So if the weight of the camera together with the battery grip will not be bothering you too much, you can of course use it together, and it will for sure will be enough for the day of shooting stills. And if you are considering also making some videos, you have to have some battery replacement with you. So I think that it is a great camera if you are a beginner or you just don't want to spend a full budget on gear. Please consider buying this one. If you would like to see more videos like this on this channel, if you would like to see some reviews of the cameras which I have, so Fujifilm X-S10 and the new purchase, the Fujifilm X-T3, please subscribe to this channel, and if you liked this video, please hit the like button, and see you in the next video on that channel. Bye bye!